Today is the the fourth day of 6-day online course on teaching, testing, and evaluation for Manipuri language teachers of Navodaya Vidyalaya Samiti. The first session will be presented by Dr. Singtham Daina Devi, Assistant Professor, Department of English and Cultural Studies, Manipur Universities, Kanchipur. So, as I just have mentioned, she is currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of English and Cultural Studies, Manipur University, MU. She completed her PhD on English language teaching from the Department of English and Cultural Studies, Manipur University, and cleared NET in 2011. Before joining MU, she worked in Manipur College and GP Women's College under Dhanmanjuri University teaching language paper. She has also worked as a lecturer in T.S. Paul Manipur Women's College. In addition to this, she has taught communicative English in CEST MU as a guest faculty. She has published an ELT book titled English Language Skills in India and Thailand, Writing Skill. She has also published academic articles in peer-reviewed journals, UGC Care List Journal, and presented paper in national as well as international conferences. I welcome Dr. Singtham Daina Devi, and you can proceed your presentation, and the session is handed over to you, Dr. Daina.
Thank you, sir, for introducing me. Good morning to all the esteemed teachers present here. So today I will be. Good morning. So today I will be conducting a lecture, delivering a lecture come interaction on the topic classroom management, language classroom management, and I also hope to interact with the teachers here on how they manage their classroom, mostly language classroom, because we know that language classroom is different from the other classroom for other subject, because when we teach other subject, for example, history or geography, it's like the teacher is giving information regarding the history or regarding the geography. But language teaching is rather a skill teaching in which we teach the student not only regarding the language, but also we make them capable of using that language for communication. And the language teaching say but normally what happened in a language classroom the students are expected to learn how to drive a car, but the most of the language teacher, what do we do is we teach about the features of a car, like what are the engines, how many seats are there. That's actually happened. So after the completion of the language classroom, many of the students are not able to communicate using that language. I in a English teaching background, they classroom skill based normally language grammar, rules, patterns, writing skills, emphasis teaching for example, high school, then higher secondary, other skills. Language teaching writing skills. We need these 4 basic skills. I think the teachers know what are the 4 basic skills of learning a language or teaching a language. Teaching a language teach basic skills mari lay adu khambi I think
Ngarang nan tawgi baduni LS
writing, reading, listening.
Okay, so so listening, speaking, reading, and writing. See, natural process. So when we start learning a language, when we are a child, we started by listening. A child started learning a language by listening from the environment. Environment ki that's why it's not language. It's not inherited. We say language is acquired. Language is acquired inherited. For example, Chinese born child, when if that child grew up in a Manipuri speaking community or in an English speaking community, obviously the child won't be speaking the Chinese language, but rather he or she will be acquiring the English language or the Manipuri language to neighbor. She's Nico. And she thinks listening they however, listening tore and listen tore, and only after that they will start speaking. So that's why we say listening, speaking. Speaking when we come to the formal language classroom, the day when reading reading
Madam,
so listening,
Madam,
speaking.
Hello.
Yes.
Sharing PPT
I'll say I have an introduction share so listening, speaking, reading and only after that writing skills mostly PPT share classroom management what I like to emphasize is that the timetables theories strategies professors in the classes theoretical theories language teaching grammar translation method communicative language teaching, direct method, audiolingual method theories. But when it comes to its real application in a language classroom theory classroom ideal destruction classroom students like they came with the intention to learn, but what actually is there in the real classroom so many other factors impact problems constraints teacher face language classroom language teachers generalize some of the language problems which I would like to start my lecture with which. So let me share the slide. So today I will be delivering a lecture on managing a language classroom. Ozamyam Ubika. Okay. Okay. So okay, some of the constraints or challenges that a teacher face in the language classroom. Language classroom language teaching problems experience but generalized problems every situation the first problem is classes are huge, and so organizing tasks gets messy as some students finish ahead of the others and thus waste time. Like language teaching activities language teaching ki part grammar teaching and high the grammar grammar exercise the student ki ability si manada students tasks they need more time to complete the tasks. That student who actually completed before, they feel like it's a waste of time. At the same time, when again have them, the classroom the problems may create disruption, variation of see the one of the problem exercise P the Ozana classroom exercise P the karana tuna karana tapna balance problems for the time being, just let's look at the problem and solutions. See, class technique again have share. I problem and share share to view. But for the time being, let's focus on the problem. Then another is that the students have different levels of knowledge. Students in Sigi level of knowledge And at the same time, another problem which I would like to add here is that they came from different cultural and linguistic background. Language Manipuri language, but it doesn't mean that their mother tongue has to be Manipuri all the time. Mother tongue se Manipuri oibo ngata lakpa haibusu nateba. Ara moigi ngasai different cultural beliefs, different of ngasai social environment ke lakpa students mayam lay. Adugi ngasai hari students into kamana deal tawani having problem ama laying aisida. Plus moigi different level of knowledge. Kara na yam the advanced in higher lakpa. Kara na kara wat na lakpa. This I actually faced in my classroom when I was teaching this English language. The communicative English tapoma tamda. For example, examples of grammar that pisagika. Grammar tapoma tamsida. Angang say normally class 12 or college level. The like angang say taposida. Aina kanbana aham that aina kalambasi. Moisi grammar ki basics to book the Kangala Amani and getting advanced in the Tauri. Aduta kan angang kanading kangdrim high, Kenoga, because they don't have the basics of English grammar. Basics kangda, basics cow, give my arms of select. Adimu high bangang in the Yung Kanda. I started from the very basics of English grammar. Basic thing, Horaganda. Another students, another group of students that they have already learned the basics, they were well aware of the basics. Kang boring study class, advanced winner, have a different abilities of students. Different ability, students may have different ability level may amla Kamaina when society classroom the minister having a problem, see language teacher the training. Then language teaching and a high skill teaching in activities may activities like group work may then extempore speech speaking skill and the listening skill get among the exercises may and the activities sing the group work to gain high language classroom the group work to gain high how can we organize group work when the desks are all fixed to the floors in rows desks sing the floors sing the low fixed over desks movable desks with the tadi group work to Sigi matang sida I would like to at my experience when I was visiting Thailand, the classes in Thailand when I was doing my research. And I research Thailand is alaga magi and it's a kibasi not in Bangkok but in Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai is like Barmala Tangana like city ni. Chiang Mai di yeng madam the Moy language classroom say a language classroom ga yam kene. And it form of language teaching, say a form of language teaching was young kenny. But one thing that I admire in their classes is that the number of students is very much is less. Student yam di communicative skills, skills, language skills say problem lay. Classroom sida 30 to 40 students maximum the 40 students plus at the same time we season bench is movable or chairs separate chairs kata season and the grammar say grammar for example grammar teaching say explicit for example the rules in hana grammar the rules in exercise P students in the when the rules in say understand to so what happened in many of the states in India, language teaching is done in an explicit way, in which the teacher starts explaining the rules, then the student has to apply the rules in doing the exercise. But in their case, they don't do that. In Thailand, in some of the classes that I have visited, what they do is that first when han exercise sentences and they have to fill in the blanks using the appropriate or the correct option. And only after they complete the exercise, they will try to deduce rules in second grammar rules no and high which we can actually do when we take tense apply to so those are the differences that we find and the traditional classroom tense bed bench in fixed away we don't like to move it and that's why we have problems. So that is one of the problem or constraint that our language teacher face. Then another problem say it is a problem faced by all the teachers, not only the language teacher. Teaching is expected to be examination oriented by the school as well as the parents. And the teaching what is expected from the teacher is to produce students who score high marks in the end, in the examination. And examination da mark yang pangigay uzayang paye na lower. Examination ki score duna not only students ki apaw patabana na uzagi values uzasi pay pate and high bisu low ko. And the C number the teacher is under pressure onto like they have to complete the text, the syllabus in time, as well as they have to make sure that the student also scores well in the examination, which is very hard to do. And that's why the examination centered classroom or skill development the less emphasis P. And that is one of the problem. And last problem, it's not seen here. Let me read out. So it's hard to access authentic materials for teaching language. Sometimes authentic materials
Hello.
Hello.
Madam is like your Okay, fine.
Okay, so one of the problems that I would like to mention here is the authentic materials later. Authentic materials say, I don't think there is this problem of accessing to authentic problem now because of this internet. Many materials, teaching material as well as study materials are available. But that is one of the problems stated in some of the books in language teaching. Excuse me. Si una mo consider que o siri pula pure ko
ure muda.
And again, the view of classroom management. Those are the problems that a language teacher face in a language classroom. And again, the classroom scenario has changed. Classroom language teaching theories grammar translation method based on changes grammar translation method ki drawbacks direct method then after that multilingual method and then prevalent or communicative language teaching methods and minor language changes paradigm shift teacher centered over classroom learner centered classroom then learner centered teacher learner balance changes and obviously if there is this paradigm shift, if there is this change in the language teaching methods, obviously there will be change in the way we view a classroom or the way how language classroom is managed. And the classroom management views is to changes normally well behaved over classroom CV class well behaved over and high discipline maintain control normally silent classroom well behaved and that means the teacher is managing the class really well and have a concept concept to change the concept classroom management emphasis it no longer emphasizes on the maintaining of discipline or control, but rather on creating a learning environment for the students. Discipline maintain to be control to we have learn to like say environment create conducive concepts according to Tanke the aim of effective classroom management. Effective classroom management MC is to create a proper environment, classroom environment where learning progress. Learning say progress soba. Matang naina angang like them mayam su khambi uzasing su khambi autang pull up takyo step by step basics tagi hauraka kitang advance level book step by step. That's why we have lesson plans. Lesson plans lesson plan ngasi si takani angang sing sin ngasi si khangren haitadi next class tana karam hena khangani, then other classes tana there should be a progress in the learning of the student. So the aim of an effective language classroom management, see, it's to create a proper environment where this learning progresses. And the classroom management say changes like kai changes like say have to do yengsi. So thus language classroom has now shifted from practicing good behavior to engagement in the process of learning. Only good behavior katang practice tohon ba angang sing da discipline lehen ba control to ba good behavior katang so tohon ba gi mahutta aduda su focus pi ko su focus pitar so more focus would be on the process of learning angang sing sina like si pasana tam dibra hai ba si theories me amama lai ngasai gi behavior is theories lay angang sing sina linguistic combine learn the way hai bigi. Then after that, we have many theories like cognitive theories, like, and nowadays we have this socio-cultural theory. Mayama, high the theories in sida gi la akanda. Ako'y nagasay a process ola ani methods ola ani, and last one a process ola matunda classroom that apply to orga methods ola iba. And adu duna classroom see changes kay legrege in high matunda good behavior katang maintain to na learning process te hena emphasis piba. Then implementation of reactive strategies to preventive strategies. Reactive strategies and haidadi normally like classroom la lang and haidadi if a student disrupts the classroom, what most of the teachers do in the traditional conventional classroom is that they were reprimanded, scolded, or they were given some kind of punishment. So that's a reactive. A reaction to the disruption in the classes, a reaction to the misbehavior of the students. Students kind of misbehave to another reaction to ba. Adubu nowadays what is more focused on is not on reactive but rather to preventive strategies and how to make sure that the students are not disturbing in the class. How to make sure that the student does not misbehave in the class. And the classroom da angang sing disturbing behavior to handaba langhan daba kamaina misbehave to handaba again we have to make sure that we are like engaging the student to the engaging toba, like we try to grab the students' attention. Obviously, some problems will be there, but when a teacher makes a lesson plan, language teaching toba the students interested we have a like but we have to make sure that lesson plan the anang attention combined grace togani anang langre that means that can be one of the meaning that can be taken from the disruption or the misbehavior of the students is that maybe my class it's boring or maybe some other circumstances may period say first period angang attention siga last period ke angang attention siga yam sathi ne khene adudana moi angang sing se wasalak pegira natraga some other external factors may am labra like the hypothesis or asking the khangdo patai at the same time we also know when the students get bored students in a board chui any classroom to board chu how great and ubatardi like we have eye contact with most of the students when we take a class adu lakadi kamai do ni should I tell them a story like 4 or 5 minutes story motivating story funny story or should I ask one of them to tell a story some kind of diversion that we have to make in order to bring them back to the topic that we are teaching some kind of diversions this I actually encounter when I was teaching the communicative English in a language classroom. I know on Hana Ozan Habib to CESD Center Amada English communicative English the language the number of students in that language classroom, communicative English classroom, the number of students, it's not an ideal number. I think there were around 80 to 90 students there. And it was very much difficult for me to teach because focusing not only grammar teaching is a problem at the same time I have to make sure that they have all round development and the speaking skills and listening skills problems and how some of the strategies or some of the management that I do in the classroom I can also share and Ozagi the Supro Lerangani, Adusindu, at the end of the lecture, let's try to steer and let's try to come up with some of the probable solutions to the problems. And so that one is there. And then from CIIL, not only from the reactive to the preventive strategies, but also from one-sided power of teacher to the freedom of students for becoming self-regulated individuals in the process of learning. Other than that, one-sided teachers their control over classroom students in the participation so encourage over process to name. What is the best teaching is that it's not spoon feeding all the information to the students. Information but to make them able how to get that information, how to get the knowledge. Knowledge moina kamaina knowledge gather togani kamaina ngasai ozadegi su khamdragan ozadegi hangba khamdragan laitegi paba ngasai akoina daka tai students in sida iriba knowledge indo students in duna lamak loksan ba ngamakta ba yawi then teachers because of their time constraint kudimak piba ngamda yawi aduna student ki self learning process amusu lahanna ba habisi one of the factor ni aduna only teachers katangna input piba student degi input amta lakta ba habisi su toredam ne na sigi changes se mayam ma hojiki hariba current classroom scenario sida laikre. So classroom management classroom management the three components like classroom management according to Freud and Iverson and let's see what are they. They are the content management, then conduct management, and the last one is covenant management. So we are going to discuss these three components of language classroom management. Okay, so content management and high watamda have to say here. See, so let's look. So content management covers the area where a teacher spends time on making lesson plan according to the curriculum by following the syllabus. That it also requires creation of new plans for practicing lessons and activities to manage the lesson environment. So content management, it has more to do with how, with the content that the teachers come up to teach in the language classroom. And a content management, see, usasing na takumatam that's the content to neighbor. Content to a point of combined minister with the day. Have the Autung takumatam like I have said before, we divide these sections or the parts that we have to teach in each class. Parts, the development learning process, the development we have to separate the content. So that's why we need to make a proper lesson plan. Lesson plan not only the rules or the patterns that we have to teach. Rules ka patterns ka what are the other activities or the exercises that can be done by the students. And then the level of exercises or the level of activities and then there are lots of factors contributing to the content management. What are the factors? Let's see. Factors content management for example, the knowledge of teaching. Teachers ke primary say teachers understanding, experience and knowledge on the subject matter. Kakadoiba subject matter to the teacher ki knowledge plus my understanding at the same time experience. Like the teachers need to have a thorough knowledge of the subject or the portion that he or she is teaching in the language classroom. Thorough knowledge like that are the obviously the teacher won't be confident when he or she teaches. At the same time, the teacher will not be able to explain some of the core issues in the classroom. Other than that, it's very much important that the teacher have knowledge, understanding of teaching. At the same time, experience. Experience, see, teaching the more experienced teacher now, they know how to tackle and also they know how to teach. Experience because through experience they know that which portion would be a problem for the students. They know that which portion karamana angang singda hena luna thokani portion karamana angang singda line thokada portion singda time management ki factor amsu leibinina. So those easy portion they will try to teach it in a giving them lesser time, but those difficult portions that they knew that the student would be facing big problems in understanding those skills or those aspects. They will be giving more time, they will be giving more exercise, and they will be giving more explanation to that. And also like English grammar teaching the su saigi when ying the teaching teachers me am the found to say when kai found again high matanda grammar English key background na adudum haizarabika. So English grammar mata tamada anang singsina normally this progressive ing form gumba, then plural the s hapagumba singsina when hen a line high, but they have problem in understanding the tense the understand the this is problem like when say preposition uses the when say have to say since many of the teachers many of the experienced teachers have already pointed out that these are the portions of English grammar that the student will be facing problems. I can use that in my language classroom. That I can take more time, I can give more examples in teaching those aspects on teaching tense, and even in tense, some of the like present perfect tense or the past perfect tense, they were having problems with that. So I can give them, I can cite them some more examples in order to make them understand it better. Examples peer-to-peer gatapa and minor lay. And not only that, teacher it's also answering the students' queries accurately. When, like, obviously in a language classroom, not only in a language classroom, when we teach, when we conduct a class, it's been said that a teacher has to read a lot more than the student when they give the exam, because the teacher should be able to give answers to all the queries that the student give. Exam portion student student we have to make sure that every query student ki live problem sing the properly kumbangamba. That's why teacher's knowledge is very much important. Teacher has to enlarge his or her knowledge. The teacher has to keep on accumulating information, so keep on reading and having exposure to the subject better that he or she is teaching in the classroom. Then proper techniques, like the grammar techniques is in the then methods, so orderly manner, the orderly pattern, the tapa, so these are the things. Then obviously lesson plan, as I have said, a detailed lesson plan is required, because one of the advantages of having a detailed lesson plan is that it will help you finish the topic in time. Topic 2 matam chana lushinbada mateng pangani. At the same time, even in a large classroom, you like when we form a lesson plans, we not only look at the lessons that we are going to teach in the classroom. Classroom da when a lesson plan portion to we have to make sure that how many students are there, and also the level of the students ki level si khang bayam takata adna mayam sing si khang tardi mayam sing si detail in a tardi teacher amana language teacher amana classroom with it will be easy to finish the topic in time, or maybe save some time, some minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes, and they allow the students some additional time for interaction as well as feedback. Interaction have the if some of the students are not understanding the key issues or the key ideas that a teacher is teaching in that particular classroom, other tadi students so that they can also raise questions on that. At the same time, feedback is very important. Feedback is very crucial because it helps the learner in developing their knowledge. Feedback it also helps the teacher to know where the improvement is required among the students, not only on the students but also on the teacher. Feedback like if we don't take feedbacks from the students, then we don't know where our teaching is going to. If the students are not understanding my class, that means my teaching needs improvement. Maybe in the technique I am using, maybe in the knowledge that I'm sharing. And knowledge to the and technique to the or approach to the like nobody is born to be a good teacher or to be a perfect teacher. We improve ourselves through experience and also through the feedback from the students. Students take feedback like say, yeah, important oil language classroom and at the same time activities may have also lesson plan to lower the activities ki timing because since this language paper, it is a skill-based paper, we need to make sure that there is this all-round development. So normally what I do in my language classroom where I was teaching this communicative English, teaching to what I do for speaking skills. Speaking skills, I told them the theories, the rules, but sometimes I have to apply some of the exercises rules. And when I start teaching, I taught there for 3 years. I did 3 years I was new to that, quite amateur. Other than a Kangabanina and a particular topic when external speech that time I gave that globalization gumba, demonetization gumba, some of the important key issues, political issues but what I find in that classroom is that I was not teaching them globalization, I was not teaching them demonetization, I was teaching them the skill to speak or the skill to communicate in English. Other than the problem because information may gather the expression the problem there. And so I shifted that from to other things like football match was very much popular then. So I started with the favorite football player topic say people say favorite football player gumba, then most memorable day gumba, then other like some of the things that the students can relate. Students easily personal things that relate to the period it's only then that I realized that the students are able to express themselves more freely. Expressions they freely expressed. And one of the major problem that I encounter in that language classroom is that students obviously English is the second language for us. It is not our mother tongue, and so we have lots of hesitations, then lack of self-confidence later about then grammar the pronunciation vocabulary knowledge what express the big problems the problem one of the problem is that public speech or even like among his friends expressed over the problem not English problem masagi language masagi mother tongue the way the kind of culture that we have in our environment is that many of the young children they were not encouraged to express their views. Young children since the views since they express the PD. Other than that is one of the factor where and that's why even those students English the students in do idea do I told them to express in their mother tongue Manipuri any problem like they have to speak for at least 9-10 sentences of adu have that some of them not many but some of them speak in Manipuri and they were able to express their views. So that's the thing that I encounter in a language classroom. See, English ki classroom Manipuri classroom language they have this psychological problem. Psychologically, confident friendly amicable have an but amicable situation classroom situation create whether we views to express over the interest to be and this I get to know because of the feedback that I applied in my classroom. Then another is clear instruction and monitoring. Teacher-centered since the teacher is the one who will decide what to give and how to teach, what are the content that the students should learn in its classroom. So he is the one who decides the instruction as he or she knows the content. Instruction say kamaina instructor when BP gani hai basi ozana teacher to decide to So in a language classroom, the kind of instruction that a teacher gave should be as simple as possible, because simple sentence I am simplified or the instruction period. Even a quick question same so instruction say yari simple and PBU and room yauri and the classroom the when students the activities go on in high tardy. When we give instruction to the students, we have to make sure that we give them the instruction as simple as possible. And when avoid see like complex sentences kumba or compound sentence lay avoid over. I had the instruction do clearly understand or the exercise to sometimes instructions clear with the exercise and we have to make sure that the instructions should be simple as possible, and we should try to avoid complex sentences. Then another thing that is required is also to monitor the students' ability. Students' ability to monitor the level. Like we have to look at the students' level when we give them instruction to do particular exercise. Particular exercise the instructions my levels for example, students to basic level students I cannot give them the advanced exercises. At the same time, students who have already learned the basics of the language and they are advanced learned I cannot the teacher cannot give them simple exercises because the students will find it boring. So in that case, advanced level student, the teacher has to give them some of the exercises in which they are forced to think, they are forced to apply the rules they have learned. And also knowledge based or skill based. We have to make sure that we also monitor the students' ability. Then another important factor under content management is topic selection. When a topic we have to make sure that the topic is interesting, not boring, and the topic should be something that will be able to grab the students' attention. Student relate to it should be the topic should be something that the student could relate. And also the student find it not easy but not difficult. Difficult so topics then language classroom the way of the activities like group work but then group work is group work. For example, like I have said before, Thai English classroom, language classroom, the grammar teaching at the same time we some kind of grammar game quiz way group quiz story, and the students in groups they have to compete against itself. One another. Amagi against them, we have to compete or can the grammar group na scored away, the grammar group less scored away. The Adusu grammar game when a side left of the when a fit on already games fit on the answer to so when a games look how much they scores you automatically masana latser neighbor and minor group and group consider when a side test grammar test what I find there is that some like five groups key students say tarukuma or mangagum kaido consider if when one of the group is engaging in the test, other groups would be left out. Obviously, so that four groups they will create disruption in the class. So what the teacher did in their classroom, what I find is that since I visited their classroom as a researcher, and also I was someone outside their country. Obviously, in a Thai language, converse they have to talk to me in English. So one group now, left up in one group games or groups I think there were 3 or 4 of us visiting the university. So he gave each one of us a question groups into the we'll have group chat with the students there, like, and each group into the 5 to 6 students per money, and they asked me lots of questions regarding my country, regarding my culture, and I also asked them, and the quick conversation they have no means to talk to me other than using the language. And English language is used to the I got some researcher at the same time, if I talk to them for more than 5 minutes, obviously we will get over friendly. Conversation boring 5 minutes I talk with one group, then I shift to another group 5 minutes and minus change story. At the same time, asumki nakanda game test group to lower, they come back, they talk to me or they talk to the others researcher, then another group test story. So that's how they manage the classroom. It's very interesting to look at. Then the last one is sitting plan, sitting arrangements are important way. Like some of the students, they love to sit at the back bench. Back bench katanga da phamba. Back bench phamba obviously teachers ki attention su phang de lab na udar banina. And mind of banina mo say ngasai classroom da hena active participation most of the classes, ideal classes, what happens is that there is this seat arrangement in which there is this constant change in the seats. The backbenchers have to take the first bench, then again there will be this constant change in the seats that they sit. So that is also required. So those are the portions for content management. Then next we have conduct management. Conduct management, as a facilitator, our teachers need to make a balance between involvement of students and maintaining disciplines in classroom, because large number of students involvement can make a noisy class. What I want to emphasize here is that the classroom is the only content to classroom conduct deliver. We need to make a balance between the involvement of the students and also maintaining discipline. Language classroom, the activities like I have said before. So activities student ki participation say sometimes noise create. Language classroom noise create and that is the problem that a language teacher face. But in case of like drill gumba, drilling gumba or some kind of exercise, pronunciation exercise we have to make sure that each and every student participates. But we cannot do that for more than like 5 to 10 minutes. Whole class the drilling class was pronunciation rules drilling balance students actively participate but also they don't create noise. Classrooms are noisy way because there are other classes in schools or colleges. Schools classes classes disturb. We have to make sure that. So some of the best teaching practices or some of the best teaching conduct the conduct are like acknowledging responsible behavior. Some of the students will be very active, will be participating in many of the activities that the teacher introduced in the classroom. Sometimes they would love to take a lead role. And many of students responsible behavior, so to students into the, if a teacher acknowledges them, then the other student would be encouraged to be responsible, like that responsible student. So that one is required. And irresponsible and inappropriate behavior students in how do we correct that? Kamina correct away. And so this correcting irresponsible or inappropriate behavior, I think some of the teachers here will have more experience. Kamina uzasingna irresponsible or inappropriate behavior class the deal I think we can also share, teachers can also share their experience here. Uzasing the experience it and share to you.
Moi angang sing adumaina tawbasingdo aikoina moida thabak adum sinaba kari kara haibase hangba khotpa kaidoba moida dum akoina wangang bagi tanja akoina wari shaba khotpa dum tawbiba adumaina akoi tawi angang sing khara kaino taw yawning daba khara sonba kangbuse moi damdana aikoi
makoida ahenba khara activity makoina pamjaba test to boy na hena interest lai na ba corruption biba khuda moina deputy prefect class prefect kum hek pp ba moi ga khoi ga interact tawnar na bagi tanja je moi da khare na pp ba asigu muso khoi na hek apply to je madam.
Interesting way atopa experience kum lai bibo jale tade
yes madam was kayno tawe akhoi na angang singse si ai si mapanda tamba angang singni mayang haitare ko atopa language ngang ba mayang singni ado moi di kya interest laite hai ba Manipuri si class khara chau khalaba kan jida di moi interest laite madu interest laina ba na aina kaitare moi slide kumba kapaga dagi video gumba thagalaga dagi smart ki keno dagi tawga yengallaga si tau haidna adugumba khara tawkanda angang singse khara adum class ta moi haidi puning changi smite away.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Okay, so Hoziki had the experience to the, I think the three teachers that have shared their experience, their experiences are different, and also how they tackle with it. It's very unique. So at the same time, we also can also learn from those techniques that they have used in their classroom. Okay, I think we can still continue. So correcting irresponsible and inappropriate behavior, it's very important. Like some of the teachers have shared their experience, we will learn from them. Then gentle verbal reprimands, like not giving them severe punishment. Punishment be the just like gentle in a verbal reprimand. Then sitting arrangement, obviously, if the sitting arrangement changes in the arrangement of the seats, obviously the students have to be attentive in the classroom. Then reinforcement system. Reinforcement system like good habit na not reward but good habit na appreciate to biba than irresponsible or inappropriate behavior na correct to biba smile some good mostly let's look at the good habit. Good habit sing sida reinforcement si behavior is theory digi normally lakni habdi na cycle language say angang sing sina command learn again high matamda angang macham language learn to busi imitation torganda my surrounding the labels into the immediate torgana ani nangibas into the manachum nanga padu akoina habit kit after lahala matung the reinforced torkadoinima habiti they will inculcate toraniba mind to the good behavior or good habit. The learning process the good behavior and good habits are important way and high passing ways in the combine reinforced means habit in ohelagada whether regularly seeing a pattern combine follow to one and high passing osasing to the classroom the creator with the cat type. And the last one is not generalizing the ability of all students. All students could ability to generalize already like okay, these students belong to the 6th standard or 7th standard or class 8 standard. They should know this. They should have this much ability. Language scheme around the Sibo King when generalized over aspects. It's very wrong. I learned it from one of my experience. When I started teaching, I did some voluntary work. I taught in one of the summer camp organized by one of the teacher in a government school. Government school, the teacher summer camp organized away, mostly language teaching me. And I was asked to teach English literature, some of the short stories, mostly the American short story. I was asked to teach them. Mostly the 10th standard students. So 10th standard student I'm on the literature is high. And since I felt that those students already belong to the 10th standard, obviously I will be teaching them the meanings. I will be explaining some of the aspect of this short story. Then we will use some of literature portion to that 10 already they know. They also know how to elicit meaning combine logani, and then they also know how to appreciate the work combine appreciate and I already I started teaching them. I started explaining some of the key words, and then I just narrate the story to them. But what I actually encountered in that classroom, that is an eye-opener for me. And that is one of the reasons why I decided to go for language teaching. Language teaching, the language research in language teaching, the incident to the because what I expect was nice students in the meaning tani, then explanations tani, appreciate the whole story to have color. But what I found there is that some of the students can't even read properly. Some of the difficult words that they can't read them, not let alone meaning. Meaning And so I decided to start from the very basics, like 1 or 2 students who are very poor in this English language. I gave them some special 5 to 10 minutes for them, so that they read out each portion. Whole chapter in paragraph. See, they have to read out the paragraphs to me for every day during that camp. And from that I realized that what I was doing, I was generalizing the ability of the students according to their standard. But what I actually witnessed there is that in a classroom, when I enter a classroom that is new to me, I cannot generalize. I have to look at the ability of the students, and also the level and the skill of the students. The ability, level, and skill, what kind of approach or what kind of content that I should be teaching to those students. Obviously, every class key goal oriented or objective to young portion already advanced with the student or but basics student group I have to start from the very basics. And then I have to make sure that I reach the goal, which is very difficult to do. So that one is there. Then the other management after conduct management and content management is the covenant management. Covenant management, mostly it deals with the social relationship in the classroom, where the classroom is considered as an individual social group. Covenant management, it has to do with the social relationship, because when a child comes to a classroom, let alone language classroom, when a child comes to school, it's like his first step to socializing. Socialize the social environment that combine parents socially teachers get now monitor or socially combine behave to again high school learn that is the another aspect that we have to make sure that that we take the classroom as an individual social group, and we have to make sure that the students who were a part of my classroom, when they go out of it, they also become a socially able person in the society. Socially able or socially able person important again society part language means when seasonable linguist means to na ideas, views, express story and a society formed of the language important way. And anang singuna husiki high society to give part of the language teacher na semba. The combined language season agani, socially combined language season agani high. And one of the problem that we have is that grammar I have to language to me was a car over the mibo car when a car madam doing a tapiwa, but that's one tolakomatam card of Wahitava. See, English teaching the yam to ever. In this case, grammar, the loikan the announcing say, Tolaganda, even matamda yam sweater, plus at the same time expression the ring with the schematic soever. Language is socially bounding, social changes language changes like language is ever changing, massive dynamic way, static way. Some of the expression, even Manipuri expressions which was not there a decade ago. Decade amagi mamanga expressions and with the coming of this social media so many acronyms like LOL, LOL, so older generation younger generation communication use and the society part again socially change language to combine change again and that is the role of a teacher to equip their students with those changes in the language. Language changes may do the equip the women so the type. And when language teaching and had a tiny classics, ancient stories may that is also important because literature do linguistic literature to appreciate the and appreciate the high tiny classics may but communication in classroom the communication classroom for example English the higher so if I teach English to them using the stories written 100 years ago, poems written by William Wordsworth. Poem to season and English communication skill the problem am later. Angang gonna tamibe English na sahi sama mangi English tamgre, thola kanana sahi sama ke matung social media dagi internet boom dagi mayamna oshitaga labors areas nama communication the problem thola neighbor. And that is one of the management that a teacher has to do in the classroom. So an instructor has to oversee relational connections in the classroom. Then what is this covenant management? It is about maintaining and developing a warm, healthy and cooperative relationship between teachers and students. Students teacher warm relationship students in the question that's why positive interaction interaction may to student but what kind of interaction should be? It should be positive interaction. So positive interactions of teacher with students, they create motivation for learning. Learning, obviously, if the teacher is very positive in the classroom, learning to sumasana encourage orani, then social development among ani, then comfortable learning environment to create orani. And that comfortable learning environment will also encourage the students to ask questions if they have any doubt. Question normally but if the teacher is interacting to them in a positive way, if they have any doubt, they won't hesitate to ask questions to their teacher. So that is the environment that a teacher has to create. That is the relationship that a teacher has to maintain. At my students in the relationship, amicable, friendly relation. And Tamaito do not pay students in Dubu motivate the gay have the how to motivate students. Mostly first one, we can motivate with students by communicating with them. Communication the type and communication and privacy. It has many definitions, communications and hierarchy. There are also definitions, but here in the context, we communicate with the students not about their personal problem, but their problems in the classroom. Classroom the labor problems, learning the problems, communicate over aspect of the that teacher cannot be very personal with the students again. I'm personal with the but at the same time, I'm distant with the so we have to make a balance. Then lessons we have to create lessons that is familiar and relatable, which based on real life context used to way then generating a developed learning environment. Then also raising awareness on the importance of learning the language, like motivation reason goal oriented language to learn to why should you learn this language? To be an able person in the society or maybe to get jobs. Reasons the positive reason to be the language to learn increase to be. So that one is there. And so classroom management styles there are 4 classroom management styles according to Dunbar, which are authoritative style, then authoritarian style, indifferent style, and laissez-faire style. So authoritative style the teacher is not hostile but friendly, but clearly maintains the discipline in the classroom. Instruction why and why should you concentrate in the classroom, or why this lesson is important for you, and a clear instruction those teachers who follow the authoritative style. And mostly they don't like to give punishment, so punishment is very much neglected, but discipline maintain the authoritative style of teaching. Then authoritarian style mostly it's restorative and restrictive. Restrictive way, full of restrictions. Politeness is expected from the students, means your good behavior should be shown by your politeness, should be shown. And also students are not encouraged to ask questions when the teacher is teaching when the teacher is teaching in the authoritarian style. Authoritarian style of teaching to boza since Satra na classroom na question yam hangasi mo encourage to deba mo na do misbehavior de hain mo interpret to iba see teaching styles makhal mayam to ni na classroom na thenaba. Then indifferent style na teachers na students the expectations yam laika fewer expectations labor having when they don't care whether the students understand or not, they just come to the class, they taught whatever they have to taught, and that's all. Okay, so that kind of style do now kind of indifferent style ko. Then there is this absence of association between teachers and students. Obviously, if the teacher is indifferent, teacher do na anangi laiba development to the indifferent with the maonda ngasai respond mabani gi maram student teacher gi marakta response se what ani adon association what absence oireko. Then the last one is in the laissez-faire style. Siging but teachers is na we am sensitive oil. When anang lang matam na lang hanu haiba chaiba pamde they don't like to scold children and they feel about they think about their students feeling, and even if the students create disturbance in the class, they take it in a positive light as if the student is inquiring about the topic and mayam si makal leka aduda sigi makal sing sida oza sing na karamba style of teaching na hana classroom effective way gani hana kan bigi.
Madam, question.
Style of teaching in a hybrid like authoritative style follow toba, then authoritarian style follow toba, then indifferent style follow toba, then laissez-faire style follow toba. Osasing se da osasing si wakanda highly effective web styles kram boy demand.
One visit.
Ozagina authoritative style of teaching. Then normally we prefer the first one, but each teacher will have different opinion. The fourth one is nasi singsida ideal style classroom obviously 2 and 3 is used to in classroom they use to way nasi style of teachings and style we have to decide. And so the last section that I like to point out in my class is how to motivate the students. Motivation se am dakata students ta. And teaching language teaching is different from teaching other subjects. Unlike other subjects, language it is a skill. And a skill needs to be applied, not just stored in the head or admire from a distance. Like I have said, when you teach in a history classroom, now when you teach history, you feed them the information regarding the dates, regarding the events, regarding the kings and queens of those times. They will write in their exam. But when it comes to language teaching, you feed them with the rules, patterns of the language. Grammar grammar tense learning, morphemes then phonemes sound systems rules they cannot just store it in their memory. They have to apply using those rules, grammatical rules, pronunciation rules, phonemes stress patterns, apply to they have to use it to communicate. The main objective of learning a language is to be able to use that language to communicate effectively. Effective communication and we have to go one step ahead. Memory the store to but store to memory the store when apply to what is more important is applying those rules. So that's what is required. So teachers need to motivate their students. Two ways of motivation. One is the intrinsic motivations, like language what are the merits of learning the language, what are the goals and objectives, and what are the things that you can achieve while learning this language. Learn language and then some extrinsic motivations like giving rewards, to the students or praising the students. Adugumba motivations mayam su koina daka tai angang singsina linguistic tamanabu hanabada. Then different students mayam like showing different behavior. Adugumba different students lakwa matamda akoina kamaina deal tawani. For example, back row distractor. Those students who love to sit at the back row and also they distract the class. How do we deal with them? These are some of the tips given by language teachers across the globe. Label language teachers may have tips ni when you can use I while continuing to speak. I contact over ngang duga ngang do kuna muning sida tade ngang sing lang stop tolak usiyoy ka. Or maybe we can stop mid sentence and stare until the students stop. Hari bangang sing na tumin lay ribo da kuna ngang do. Or maybe talk with the students after class to investigate the cause. And class to Arbakanda, Anang Buddha, the Saidi, Maramdo, Kaidugi, and the Langino have to Tungana Veshanabama, CMCI. Or the non-participants, those students who do not participate in the classroom, activities of the participate of the bar, destructive of the bar, students in the command of the need. Ignore Togadra if they are not distracting the class. Sometimes we ignore because one or two of them are, even if they are not participating, if we kind of focus on them, give time, a student 30 plus students to the effect of the Rahaina when ignore to Kusiawi, or we walk past their decks, we decks past the 20 so that Uzarna Naxale and Hatari Anang Sinzi and participate or Moida Amofil to Hanba or Atopa collecting the Hausiki Hari Bangang Sinzi, any classroom Katanga participate of this, a classroom to participate over the Rahina Handokusu the Katai. Then the last one is students in a classroom that can say over exuberant students like Mayam Degi Titan Hendok na say Haidi Banansi. Haibana Muramakandra Natragayamna extrovert Webanara classroom Chida in a question Hangmatanda, Mother that Kumige Nuaiba or Kedoma exercise over Matamda, Hamad the Torkanda. Angang Krasulay, Adugum Angang, when increased it over them, but Mark the classroom to the focus people Yadaba. Atopa students in the who answers any expect over the combine it over near Dugumba, Yamna over exuberant with the students into the combined over in Hamatam, the Mawanda. Thank you for that, or Yari Makatana. Let other students talk also, we can ask them, or maybe we may remind the student that there will be more opportunity for them to talk in group when we start the exercises or activities. Exercises or activities so the opportunities may hide they will take most of the time of the class while expressing themselves. So we have to maintain that, make sure that they also speak, participate in the class, but also we also let the other students, the whole students in the classroom participate. So high level students in the behaviors in the three main questions are raised. To question C, behavior to na, does the behavior hinder the students' learning? High level behavior to na, angang learning to the hinder Toribra, hinder Togatadi, sometimes we have to let it go. Or is it a single occurrence, not worth wasting time? If it's happening regularly, obviously we have to handle but every single occurrence could get when a time people and when a situation see single occurrence or regular occurrence have to see the time. And the last one, is it a whole class problem or specific to one or more people? Classroom the whole problem amani problem na habis ko ni game bata keno ga hojiki hainaway da banga amani duda ko na nungam class every class focus pita di atopa students me am duda negligence ko ba phawdra adugum sindu so we consider to be and these are the some of the ways that we can use while managing a language classroom. So I think we are I don't have much time left. So with this, let's try to find the solutions to some of the problems that I mentioned in the beginning of my lecture. I know a lecture problem like you solutions the class lecture